Call the meeting of the Nashua Board of Assessors to order at 9 a.m. on Thursday, October 21st, 2021. Let the record show the present from the board, Robert Early, Paul Bergeron, and myself, Daniel Hansberry. First order of business of the meeting minutes. Is there a motion to waive the reading of the public meeting minutes from the meeting held on Thursday, October 7th, 2021, accept them and place them on file?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Are there any errors or corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. Is there a motion to waive the reading of the non-public meeting minutes from the meeting held on Thursday, October 7th, 2021, accept them and place them on file?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Are there any errors or corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. Ayes have it, motion carries. At this time, I will recognize Richard Vincent, who's the department head for the assessing department, who has a department update for us. Good morning, Mr. Vincent.
Good morning, and thank you. First order of business, under department update, I'd like to introduce two new employees for the assessing department. First would be Jessica Marchant. She is a new assessor, replacing or filling Mike Mandiel's vacant position. So it's Jessica.
Welcome,
Hello.
Jessica.
Welcome.
Second person is Jennifer Zins. She is
Jennifer.
filling the admin 3 position that was vacated by Louise Brown. So they both started last Friday,
And welcome, Jennifer.
the first week here. Second order of business is a discussion on the 2021 MS1. If I remember correctly, I briefly discussed this at the last meeting. The total taxable value for 2021 is approximately $10,311 million. That's a decrease of approximately $72 million from the 2020, I say taxable value, I should say net valuation. That's about a $72 million decrease from 2020. And that's due primarily to for two reasons. One is a reduction in the commercial building valuation and some commercial land as well of approximately $54 million. And that's due largely to the abatements and the settlement agreements that we've had over the course of the year. It's also due to a reduction in the taxable value for the public utilities. And that is due to the implementation of a new valuation formula for public utilities, and that was established by the state legislature in response to the recent or ongoing lawsuits that we've had with public utilities over their values.
Does that capture all of the 18 million, or like the vast majority of the remaining 18 million?
The 18 million?
So it's down 72 million.
Right,
54 million is commercial properties.
right.
So that leaves us with 18 million, correct?
Yeah, but the decrease in the utilities was about 32 million, but those decreases were offset by increases in other categories, residential land, residential buildings. Those increases are from inspections that are being done by Vision, it's by growth, by building permit. So we've had growth in value in some areas, but decreases primarily in the commercial buildings and the utilities.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, I just thought I'd capture it while you were on the topic. So continue, go ahead,
Okay.
sorry.
So, anyway, the net decrease was approximately $72 million. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it does, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right. Any questions on that?
Questions for Mr. Vincent?
So,
I don't have any.
The elderly exemptions, Mr. Vincent, 724, that comes out to about the dollar amount comes out to about 1.33% of the total assessed value. Do you know, is that typical from community to community? Is it like somewhere between 1 and 1.5% in most communities, or is that low or high? Any idea?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I haven't looked at it percentage-wise. Based on my experience, the numbers that we have are typical, but percentage-wise, I've never looked at it percentage-wise of value.
And do we have data on how many residential properties are owned by people 65 and older? Do we have that information?
No.
We don't. Okay. Just below where the net valuation, if we can go down just a few numbers on that page. So less TIF retained value. Can you explain that?
Yes, the TIF is the tax increment financing properties. So there's a tax increment financing district. The tax increment financing is commonly known as TIF. That TIF value, the $46 million, that's the total value for the properties in the TIF district. Actually, that's the incremental growth in the district. So when a TIF district is set up, any increase in taxable value in that district goes toward paying off any bonds that may have been pulled for improvements in that district. So TIF district is usually set up in an area that needs infrastructure improvements or maybe some improvements to properties. So it's an incentive for people to come into that area and build a structure or improve a structure. There's no reduction in taxes on the properties, but a portion of that taxable value, whatever the increase is, total increase for that district, goes to pay off some bonds. Many times, the TIF district is used in an area where a lot of properties need improvement or where there's growth that is wanted, maybe an outlying section of town where there aren't many properties out there. So in order to bring in growth in that area, the city sets up the TIF district, and they bond for the improvements, infrastructure improvements, roads, sewers, water, and the growth in that area, the taxes on that incremental growth goes to pay off that bond. So it's really taking some money from the general fund and putting it into another fund to pay those bonds.
And what would be an example of a larger TIF project in Nashua?
There are two TIF districts now. The larger one is School Street. No. I'm sorry, I forget the name of the TIF district now. But there was one that was just recently approved. The larger one is the one that's been around for a number of years. I can't think of the name of that district now. So I'm sorry, I can't help you with that.
Okay. All right.
But there's only two, and one is very small. I think it's the School Street one that's very small.
Okay. And then the number 22, where less utilities, the $362,159,000. What's that? Is it deducting the 55% of the value that doesn't go to the school district? Is that what that means?
Well, that $362 million, that's the value of the public utilities. And on the public utilities, they do not pay the school portion of the tax rate. But that's the value, that's not the taxes, that's the value of the utilities. And we have an outside appraiser that establishes the values, estimates the values for the utilities.
And then roughly speaking, you'd have to multiply that by 0.45, or is that after the reduction's already been done, that value that's right there on the page?
Well, this value is before the taxes are applied. That's the total assessed value.
And then if, say, 55% goes for the school district, would you multiply this number by .45 then to get
To get the taxes,
the amount that's being taxed? Or is that
it's
the
probably,
amount?
yeah, it's probably about 45% is what the taxes would be on that $362 million.
Okay. Any further questions?
No.
No.
All right, thank you, Mr. Vincent.
You're
Do you have anything else for us?
Nothing else.
All right. New business, there is none. Unfinished business, none. Public comment. Is there anybody on Zoom waiting to speak? Not hearing anything.
Morning, there's not.
Could you repeat yourself, please?
Good morning, Chair. There's no one waiting on Zoom.
All right, thank you, Director Plano. So no public comment. Comment by board members?
No.
I have none.
Is there a motion to go into non-public session for two reasons? First, to discuss matters which, if discussed in public, would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of this board unless such person requests an open meeting. This exemption shall extend to include any application for assistance or tax abatement, a waiver of a fee, fine, or other levy if based on inability to pay or poverty of the applicant pursuant to RSA 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, parenthetical C. Second, under 91-A:3, Roman numeral 2, parenthetical L, for the consideration of legal advice provided by legal counsel, either in writing or orally, to one or more members of the public body, even where legal counsel is not present.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I will call the roll. Mr. Early?
Yes.
Mr. Bergeron?
Yes.
Mr. Hansberry, yes. Let the record show that we have entered non-public at 9:12 a.m.